Okay, so get this. We're diving into some firsthand near-death experiences today.
Yeah.
We're talking like raw emotional accounts
Yeah.
from INDS.org.
Wow.
And let me tell you, these aren't your typical tunnel of light stories.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
What we're going to uncover today are the kind of surprising details about these experiences that go beyond those common tropes.
Definitely. And INDS is like it's a treasure trove, really, of NDE accounts.
It is.
And these particular ones we're going to talk about today, they really challenge our understanding of what happens on the edge of life.
Totally.
Instead of just like skimming through a bunch of these, we're going deep, we're looking for common threads, the aha moments, but also, the questions these accounts raise about life and death and consciousness and,
Are you ready?
I'm ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready to jump in. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
One of the first things that struck me when going through these accounts was the sheer diversity of imagery. Forget the fluffy clouds and pearly gates. We've got people describing everything from profound darkness to feeling like they're dissolving into the universe.
Yeah, it's
far more complex and, frankly, far more interesting than the stereotypes suggest.
It's true. And this isn't just a matter of like personal interpretation or cultural background.
Right.
We see this range of experiences even within, similar demographics.
Yeah.
Take the tunnel of light, for example. It pops up occasionally.
For sure.
But there are just as many accounts of encountering vast, indescribable spaces. Yeah.
Or even just a sense of peaceful emptiness.
Right.
It makes you wonder if we're trying to fit these experiences into pre-existing boxes instead of letting them speak for themselves.
Absolutely. And, that brings up a really interesting point about how our pre-existing beliefs might influence these experiences. There's this account from a man who is deeply skeptical about anything spiritual, considered himself a staunch atheist. Yet, during his NDE, he described encountering a being of pure light who communicated with him telepathically. Like, it challenged his entire worldview.
It's fascinating, right? It makes you wonder if what we see, what we feel during these moments, isn't just a reflection of our expectations, but perhaps a glimpse into something far grander, something our current understanding can't quite grasp. Absolutely, and it's not just the visual imagery that's diverse, it's the emotional palette as well. We often associate NDEs with peace and euphoria, but there's a surprising amount of fear, even terror, woven into many of these accounts.
Like that chilling account of the man who had an NDE brought on by sleep apnea.
Oh, yeah.
He described feeling this intense fear, like he was being lured towards something dangerous.
Right.
He actually fought against it, desperate to stay conscious.
Yeah, the one with the beautiful woman urging him to just rest.
Yes.
It's almost like a darker twist on that being of light trope. And what makes it even more unsettling is that his home security camera captured the entire thing.
Oh, wow.
You see him struggling, gasping for air, while this ethereal woman seems to beckon him toward the bed.
Oh, wow.
It's a stark reminder that NDEs aren't always these blissful journeys. They can be messy, disorienting, even terrifying.
Right.
And that raises even more questions about what's really going on during these experiences.
It really does.
And what about the woman who argued with her deceased father? She was experiencing toxemia after childbirth and described this incredible feeling of peace and love as she neared death. She even encountered her father, who had passed away years earlier.
Okay.
Oh, and she actually argued with him.
She did?
She did.
What?
He told her it wasn't her time, and she protested, saying she wanted to stay in that blissful state. He insisted she had to return to her children, and eventually she agreed.
Wow.
It's not the reunion you'd expect, but it speaks to a kind of agency, even in the afterlife, that we rarely discuss.
That's so interesting.
Makes you wonder, doesn't it?
It does.
Could it be that our desires, our attachments, even after death, continue to shape our experience?
Yeah, it really challenges our assumptions about what's over there, doesn't it? And maybe that's a good thing. It's so easy to fall back on those comforting narratives, but these accounts really push us to grapple with the sheer strangeness of it all.
Speaking of strange, we've been dancing around the emotional and spiritual side of these NDEs.
Yeah.
But what about the science? I mean, there are some who would say these experiences are nothing more than the brain's last gasp, a flurry of neurons firing off before everything goes dark.
Right. There's a whole field of neuroscience dedicated to understanding the biological basis of these experiences. Things like oxygen deprivation, changes in brain chemistry. They can all trigger altered states of consciousness that might explain some of the common elements reported in NDEs.
Exactly. For example, some researchers point to the temporal lobe, which plays a role in our sense of self, perception of time, and even religious experiences. Stimulating this area of the brain can produce feelings of detachment from the body, a sense of being in the presence of something greater, even out-of-body experiences.
Right.
So we've got these fascinating neurological explanations, and yet there are accounts that don't quite fit the mold, like the man who described being taught to ride light waves across the universe, or the woman who claimed to have visited a library of Akashic records containing the knowledge of every soul in existence. How do you reconcile those with a purely physiological explanation?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's a question that continues to spark debate and fuel research. There are scientists who believe that as we unravel the mysteries of the brain, we'll eventually find answers to even the most perplexing NDEs. Others, however, argue that consciousness might be more than just a product of our physical brains. They suggest that these experiences might point to a non-local consciousness, something that exists independently of our bodies and can't be fully explained by current scientific models.
It's like that whole debate about whether the mind is like a radio receiver tuning into a pre-existing consciousness, or more like a computer generating consciousness through complex computations.
Right, exactly.
And then there's the question of verifiability. Some NDE accounts involve details that seem impossible to know, like witnessing events happening far away from the person's physical body. There have been a handful of cases where these details were later corroborated, suggesting that maybe, just maybe, something truly remarkable is happening. It's enough to make you question everything you thought you knew about reality, isn't it? It really throws into question our whole understanding of what's possible, doesn't it?
It is, yeah.
It's both exciting and a little unsettling.
Yeah.
But even if we set aside the question of whether these NDEs are proof of an afterlife, there's still so much we can learn from them.
You're right. It's easy to get caught up in that is it real or not debate. But these accounts, I think, offer something much deeper than just a glimpse into a possible afterlife. They offer a glimpse into ourselves,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Think about the recurring themes that emerge. A sense of interconnectedness, a profound love and compassion, a focus on relationships over material possessions. These themes transcend cultures and belief systems. They seem to point to something fundamental about the human experience.
It's like these experiences strip away all the superficial layers, all the noise of everyday life, and they just reveal what truly matters.
And that's where the real transformation lies, isn't it?
Yeah.
In that shift in perspective. We see this time and time again in the accounts. People returning from these experiences with a renewed sense of purpose, a deeper appreciation for life, a profound sense of peace. There's this one account that really stuck with me. A man who had spent his life chasing success, wealth, all the things we're told to strive for. During his NDE, he had a life review where all those external achievements just faded away, and all that mattered was the love he had shared, the connections he had made. It completely changed his priorities. He came back and quit his high-powered job, dedicated himself to his family and community. It really highlights the power of these experiences to shake us out of our routines, to make us reevaluate what truly gives our lives meaning.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not just about personal transformation either.
Right.
Many people return from NDEs with a heightened sense of empathy, compassion, a desire to help others, make the world a better place.
Like that Finnish woman we mentioned earlier, the one who was cured of cancer after her NDE.
Yeah.
She didn't just experience a physical healing, but a profound emotional and spiritual awakening as well. It led her to completely change career paths, to dedicate her life to helping others heal.
Right. Wow.
It really makes you wonder if these experiences, regardless of their ultimate reality, might hold a key to unlocking a greater sense of compassion and understanding in the world.
That's a really good point.
Perhaps by studying these accounts, by listening to these stories with open hearts and minds, we can start to bridge some of the divides that separate us and embrace our shared humanity more fully.
Yeah.
So as we reach the end of our deep dive, we invite you to sit with these stories, with the emotions and questions they evoke. What resonates with you? What aspects of your own life, your own beliefs, are challenged or affirmed by these accounts?
It's really amazing.
Because ultimately, the most profound insights aren't found in the answers we receive, but in the questions we continue to ask.
That's a good point.
And perhaps, just perhaps, by exploring the mysteries of near-death experiences, we can begin to unlock the mysteries of life itself.
I think so, yeah.